Hello, I'm the Runner, and in this analysis video, I'll show what I believe is All For One's plan to assassinate his arch enemy, any current wielder of One For All, which, when he made this plan, this person was Deku. This theory will show that the horribly mutated former humans that I call Nomu, who were changed by adding too many different powers into their bodies, had several of them were designed and conditioned to identify Deku very effectively, then immediately attack him. This will contain spoilers for the My Hero Academia series. This is your final spoiler warning. When you look at the attack on Hosu by those three Nomus, you notice one of them directly target Deku out of an entire very large group of people. Another Nomu that so happened to crash through a speeding train wall into one of the carriages a few seats down from Deku, which if it was aiming for him, the Nomu also finding another hero, while trying to enter the speeding train would likely slightly miss like it did despite all its overpowered strength to barrel towards its objective. And as soon as Deku entered the area the Nomu were attacking, a large truck was thrown at him by the last Nomu, like they all were targeting Deku. The Nomu, being very mentally deficient, have been able to be trained to identify visual and auditory cues, such as being given the simple order to attack sometimes in specific ways or stop attacking, and identifying such people to not attack when the order is given, like it didn't turn on Shigaraki in a teleportation guide when Shigaraki ordered it to attack in the USJ. So with the understanding these senses can be used to give them orders, these senses can also be enhanced as a Nomu are made by combining superpowers, as some superpowers such as ones held by Mei can greatly increase their sight potential, and others such as the principle of UA can process the data abnormally effectively, which means having one able to identify obscure visual cues to single out someone should be possible. The hero culture of having the heroes dress up in a very unique, easy to identify superhero costumes makes it that when Deku wears his uniform, he should have an extreme amount of unique visual elements that should be able to be identified by a trained Nomu, which Deku had on when he was being attacked by the Nomu. Deku, when on the train, was in the window seat on the side of the train facing the Nomu. The flying one that attacked the group he was in had an unobstructed view of each person, and entering the battlefield when the Nomu were attacking had Deku in an open area, in which Deku was promptly attacked while he had his uniform on during all three. The Nomu suddenly letting Deku go can be easily shown by a mental defect. When Gran Torino was attacking one of the Nomu, clearly giving devastating attacks, the Nomu line of sight temporarily lost track of Gran Torino, and spotted two bystanders which promptly attacked, leaving itself completely vulnerable to a fatal counterstrike by Gran Torino. And every Nomu shown before also showed that they were really just pursuing their orders in a straightforward, simple way. So with the severe mental deficiencies, that likely means that they can't hold on to the information correctly, and their objectives need to be very straightforward, which, when they saw Deku, would trigger the attack objective, then outside of him, it would not be surprising the visual cue attack would be forgotten. Then one in the train was quickly removed and sent far away from Deku, and a truck exploding when it was thrown at Deku completely blocked the view of Deku. Then the rest of the fire and smoke would distort their enhanced visual senses to identify the visual cues of his uniform, which at a large distance from him made them consider him as just one of the many targets instead of a priority target. The one who could do this had a clear motive to do it. Within a short at most few-month period of time, All For One who creates Nomu would admit he had found out Deku is an inheritor of One For All. So clearly someone he would want to kill, and All For One knew All Might in his permanently injured state would be looking for someone to pass on his powers, which a clear, easy to identify sign, first it is a new wielder of One For All, is suddenly gaining incredible powers that likely will be taught by the former wielder of One For All, which happens to be what Deku's situation was like. So All For One should really have identified this by now, and the intended inheritor Shigaraki had independently decided he wanted Deku dead, so clear motivations set these Nomus up to kill Deku. Now look to see if this plan would be successful. There is no telling how many Nomus were modified to target Deku, and a great deal of them were unexpectedly captured, but the wielder of All For One, that is the only thing that can create them, was captured as well. Though the wielder of All For One implies its capture will be temporary, my videos on Ragdoll, Dabi, and Toga shows multiple extremely successful forces that the wielder of All For One doesn't know about, preventing this power from ever being put into the hands of any allies, or himself in a way to continue this assassination plan. So according to my released research, this plan is likely a failure with no new Nomus with this modification will be created, and there potentially is none left that are not captured, or there are too few left for this to be a likely case. Though Deku doesn't know about this threat, so he's still vulnerable. that seems to be all the information stored here, so I'll end my video here. If you are interested in videos on what Ragdoll, Toga, and Dobby are doing to prevent this plan from happening, check them out, they are on screen. This has been the Deer Runner, the runner of deer. Thanks for watching.